Yes, everybody, good morning. Welcome along to Forever United TV. I'm Adam, bringing you completely up to date with all of your Manchester United news this morning, getting you ready for your day, all of the updates, everything building up to this weekend's football. Thank God it's back. The Manchester Derby on Sunday. Got specials going on this weekend covering all of that game. But, of course, we want to get through all of the other news first of all and what is circulating around Manchester United this morning. We want to talk about Bruno Fernandes' future, an update from Fabrizio Romano, the impact it will have on Ruben Amorim this season, what his plans are. Also updates on the Tyrone Malacia and Andre Onana situations as well this morning. Fresh reports on both of them situations, where we're actually at with them transfers or potential transfers out of Manchester United. Let's get into it, everybody. Get your comments in the live section, everyone. Thank you everyone who's joined us already. If you're playing catch up later on, please pop your comments in to that comment section after the live has finished as well. We can have a look through them ready for later on this evening. Let's see what today brings, because obviously we're expecting all of the pictures, all of the reports from Carrington, from the Manchester United international contingent, coming back to training this week as well. So all that is due to come through and filter in to us today, ahead of the press conference tomorrow for Ruben Amorim, ahead of obviously the big Manchester Derby. I started to see some actual promos and adverts for the Manchester Derby now on TV, so it feels like it's actually close now. It feels like it's nearly there, and it is a massive, massive game for both managers. Ruben Amorim and his future at Manchester United does seem, however, to be all revolving around a certain Mr. Bruno Fernandes. Now, the update on Bruno Fernandes' future, first of all, let's get that out of the way. Another video last night from Fabrizio Romano where he was talking about the future of the Manchester United captain and what might come, where we're actually at with his decision that he has to make and where he feels he is going to be going. Now, we've obviously heard a lot of stories, a lot of rumours around Bruno's future, around what Ben Jacobs has said. Saudi football experts have said that there is multiple offers on the table for him this summer. He's turned down everything. One more year. The talk is that Bruno is going to do one more year at Manchester United, then move on. But on top of that, now Romano has come out last night and said there are several offers already on the table waiting for Bruno Fernandes at the end of this season. His decision has to be made, and I think it is all looking towards Bruno Fernandes leaving Manchester United this summer. And he committed to that one more year. Manchester United, unless they get into the Champions League, I think it's a done deal. I think Bruno Fernandes leaves. But what we've got right now is, on that, and that update, and I think that is real, and we've spoken about this before. Obviously, we know about all of the offers and the options for Bruno throughout the Saudi Pro League. About 4 different Saudi Pro League teams have approached Manchester United with offers for Bruno Fernandes. That is thought to be exactly the same going into next summer's transfer window in 2026. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't see anything happening very quickly. Obviously, Bruno will be concentrating on the World Cup with Portugal, and I think towards the back end of that, maybe the end of July going into August, we'll see a decision made for Bruno Fernandes and the future of him, unless it gets decided early doors and there's some pre-contract agreement in place. We'll keep our eyes on that as we get closer to the end of the season. But Bruno Fernandes committing to this season with Manchester United is good news for all football fans at Manchester United. Some will disagree. Bruno Fernandes is in the way at the moment, but Ruben Amorim has to find a way around this. Ruben Amorim has to look at what's necessary. I remember all the conversations that we've had, debates, topical shows around Ruben Amorim, and him needing to get results this season, I think, is the reason why he has pushed for Bruno Fernandes to stay. This is the start and the foundation of transfer windows to come, Ruben Amorim said. So, realistically, Bruno Fernandes staying at Manchester United was based around him keeping a senior figure at this football club that could help younger players coming through, because Bruno is loved by everyone at Manchester United. Let's get that straight. He divides opinion amongst the Manchester United fan base, but he's absolutely adored by everybody inside Manchester United, and he is a massive part of the furniture and the fabric of this football club. You cannot take that away from him. That's the importance, and that's why I feel Ruben Amorim did so much in talking to him, in convincing him, in making these plans all around him, and actually finding another place for him in this side, even though players were brought in to replace him. Now, you could say that's all being well, great, good idea, Ruben Amorim, but he has caused himself a problem at the same time in doing so, as we know, and as we've been debating and talking about forever. Bruno Fernandes leaving in the summer, I think, is based around what Manchester United are going to do this season in the transfer window as well. And I'm talking January again. Bruno Fernandes is obviously United captain, United through and through. Obviously, he loves the football club. Ruben Amorim loves him, and the decision to keep him was based around this season. He has to find a way to work Bruno Fernandes into his team properly. I still don't think he knows his best position with everybody that he's got. He wants to play his new players. There's a point here where we're going to have to say Benjamin Sesko has to start playing games here. And who he's going to drop out? He loves Mason Mount. He wants to keep Ahmad on the pitch. He's trying to make this big plan idea for Kobbie Mainoo while Bruno Fernandes is still there. Realistically, Bruno Fernandes right now is the problem for Ruben Amorim, well being his key to the culture and the way that Manchester United players should act and how professional they should be. It is a real issue, well, not being an issue for him, because he knows if he says something, Bruno will do it. He knows that Bruno is his voice and his words on that pitch, but he is stopping other players playing. Now, this, I think, is why I'm talking about, and what we're looking at here is that if Ruben can get through this season, I think he'll be okay. I think this season is that important, and Bruno Fernandes is so much a big part of it, or in the way, whichever way you want to say it. I think this, for Ruben Amorim, is do or die. Now, we've said this many times before. You cannot have the season you had last season, or the back end of it, and then come in and have something similar again this season. We all know this. But will Manchester United be any different if Bruno Fernandes is playing than if Bruno Fernandes is not playing? That's the big question in this. Is it going to be a massive difference if Bruno is out of this side right now? Well, we've seen against Grimsby when he came on the pitch that he obviously made a difference straight away. United started to dominate the ball, create chances. That's what Bruno does off the bench. Can Ruben, or is Ruben brave enough, I think is the question I'm asking this morning. Can you drop Bruno Fernandes in any game at all this season to try and keep other players on board with this project past this season? Because past this season, straight away, is the World Cup. And that's the problem we've got with Kobbie Mainoo right now. Bruno Fernandes leaving in the summer, yeah, all good and well, fine. But what about now? What about now? Because Bruno Fernandes leaving in the summer, that's fine, he'll be gone. And then if Ruben doesn't make it this season, or we have a catastrophe of a back end of the season, or for the rest from where we are now all the way through to the end, then you've got somebody else coming in completely new again with no senior figures, because you're losing Bruno, you're losing Harry Maguire, you're losing Casemiro, and you've got a full squad of players there, young players. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but no experience whatsoever, no one who knows and understands what this club is, what it's been going through over the last few years, like Bruno does, and I think could be a problem for the next manager along as well. Ruben Amorim's future is resting really on this Bruno Fernandes decision. Remember throughout the summer, and I was constantly saying the same thing, Ruben Amorim will die on his Bruno Fernandes sword. That's what's going to happen, I think, for Manchester United's manager. And I think we're looking now at a situation where you've got Ruben, who is really holding Kobbie Mainoo off as the player to come in, I think, and replace Bruno Fernandes in the future. That's his big plan, I feel. I think he feels he's the one who's going to come in and step in there and be that creative spark, who can have that sort of free role coming forward and backwards, but knowing that he's got an absolute outstanding number 6 next to him, i.e. a Carlos Baleba or something like that. And that's what we're looking at right now, I think, in Ruben's eyes. Look, I'm completely guessing and I'm looking from the outside on this here, but Ruben's saying he's got a big plan for Kobbie Mainoo while still having Bruno Fernandes there doesn't exist, because he's not going to get ahead of Bruno. We know this. It's up to Ruben Amorim to change it up and try and make something with Bruno Fernandes. And maybe he sacrifices one of his 10s. Maybe he brings out a Mason Mount. If he's not playing Sesko, it's Cunha, Bruno and Mbeumo, and Mainoo steps in. Maybe that's a different option for him. But then again, you're not going to be able to play Benjamin Sesko. The only way that Bruno Fernandes and Ruben Amorim coexist at this Manchester United in this Man United team this season, if he tweaks his shape a little bit. That's the only way I see this moving forward for Ruben Amorim, and he survives another season at Manchester United. I just know with how stubborn he is and where he's at with this, and Bruno and this decision, he's going to keep on doing the same things. And I've said this, look, I'm not trying to make things worse or sound worse here or anything like that. I have confidence that Ruben can figure this out. But 4 games before we go on the next international break seems like nothing. Honestly, it does. And I'm thinking, and I'm constantly looking at this and I'm going, 4 games, 4 massive games. And even when we come back from international duty again, you've got 2 more games straight away there with Brighton and Liverpool. Liverpool first, then Brighton. I don't see him playing Kobbie Mainoo in unless Bruno's injured. Bruno is fit to play 2 games a week, every single week. We've now only got 1 game a week. So Bruno is going to play every single game because it's not even a Carabao Cup game to play now to bring Kobbie in and give him a bit of game time. He either commits to playing Kobbie next to Bruno Fernandes or he is never going to get past this Kobbie Mainoo-Bruno Fernandes problem, or he changes his shape. And these are the decisions that he's going to have to make going through this season. Yes, we need results. We need to be winning games. The Kobbie Mainoo situation then isn't even spoken about. But as long as Man United are not moving forward and he's squeezing Bruno Fernandes into this system, then you're always going to have that conversation because we have seen the inconsistencies of it in games already this season. And look, can he discipline Bruno? Can he make him stick to a certain position? Can he make him play a certain way? I don't know. We'll see in time. I just don't think he's got enough games to play around with to actually make this work for him. And that's my biggest concern. I'm not questioning Bruno Fernandes' professionalism. I'm not questioning him taking on instruction and doing something different. Look, he does it for Portugal. So it's clear the evidence is there that you can make Bruno work. But if you are like Ruben said before the end of last season, and this is what Ruben actually said as well, if you're building a team around Bruno Fernandes, that still doesn't sit right with me because he's not the future of this football club. If you're building a team around Bruno Fernandes, then you have to play a formation that suits Bruno Fernandes and a system that suits him. Whether you like it or not, and you think we should be building around Bruno or not, if he is going to commit to that, why play a formation and a system that doesn't suit what Bruno wants to do? Like, if you get the midfielder next to him, maybe yes. But you got another 4 months before you get to the January transfer window yet. I think Manchester United are leveraging, and obviously Bruno's not going to go in January, that's a certain, but I think Manchester United have already lined up. Personally, just my opinion, I'm going to come to the comment section in a minute and open this up as a bit of a debate this morning. But I actually think that Manchester United have already spent Bruno Fernandes' money. I think he's gone in the summer, and that's a given. But I do think that Manchester United are already spending that Bruno money. I think it's gone. I think there will be another midfielder coming in as well as one that comes in January. I really do think that is the plan for Manchester United. And with Bruno going and what that brings, the wages saved, obviously then with Casemiro and Maguire, Man United could be spending another 250 million minimum this summer if we're in the Champions League or not, just with the players that are leaving this football club. And Bruno goes on top of that and you get a substantial fee, then you can go out and buy whatever midfielders you want this transfer window, the summer transfer window. So that, I think, is a plan. I do think we're looking past Bruno right now. And this is why Romano is teeing everything up. He's teeing up January for Manchester United and the potential of another midfielder coming in. I think that's off the back of what we've saved over the last week of the transfer window, like I've discussed before. Like the millions in wages that we've saved, the transfer fees that we've not spent yet fully in Anthony and Garnacho. Garnacho, let's not forget, is pure profit on Manchester United. So that's big money. Even if you don't think it's a big transfer fee, Garnacho is massive money for Manchester United. I think that gets spent in January. I think the other midfielder comes off the back of Bruno, Casemiro, Maguire and all these players leaving in the summer. And that could possibly be a Wharton. That could be another midfielder that we've not even seen jump onto the scene. Look, there's a lot going on. Manchester United could, and this is going to sound crazy and far out there, but there is no reason why Manchester United, if we don't, and obviously there's a big if on this one, which is if United get back in Europe, Manchester United cannot get Wharton and Baleba into this side. And then you've got complete options open to you then. You've got Mainoo, you've got Wharton, you've got Baleba. You've got a completely different dynamic in midfield altogether. Look, I'm building up a dream team there, and I know it's a bit crazy, and I know I wouldn't say far-fetched. I think that it is in the realms of realism, and I think we can go out and do this. Like, Wharton's not going to stay at Palace. Balaba's not going to stay at Brighton. If United have an alright season and we get through this and we are back in Europe, then United are competing with everybody else for them players, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be right there to go for it. If Bruno Fernandes is going like is expected, you're getting 70 million plus for him, then you're going out and you're spending that money straight away, I feel, in the summer on an Adam Wharton. I think that's what Man United want to do. Personally, anyway, that's how I see it shaping up. But look, let's open it up to the chat. Let's open it up to a bit of a debate this morning on this one as well. Bruno Fernandes leaving in the summer. How would you spend that money? Where would you go with that? Do we need anything else in any other departments? Or are we just completely transforming that midfield? Because I can see, and let's not forget in all of this, if Kobbie Mainoo decides that that's not enough for him and he wants out and something happens, I've said this so many times before, Agate's head is on the block. Bruno Fernandes is at leaving probably because of that money. Casemiro is definitely going. Kobbie Mainoo makes a decision on his future. Manchester United could end up with no midfield come the summer. So January is massive. And like I said before, with what Romano is doing, I just think he's teeing up his next transfer window right now. He already knows things that are going on behind the scenes. We know this. And I think there is already wheels in motion with a lot of stuff going on as far as the summer and Bruno Fernandes as well, which is why he's saying it. It is going to build up and up and up. It's like Romano's doing the groundwork for his biggest and busiest time of the year already, and he's already teeing it up to be this big bonanza before the World Cup and after the World Cup. So, yeah, busy summer ahead. Quickly, first of all, a couple of super chats in from Robbie says, is it time for Amorim to change to a 4-2-3-1? I think that formation would absolutely explode with Manchester United's players that we've got right now. It really would. It makes so much sense as well. I think everybody can see it. I mean, are there moments in the games when that formation actually comes in? He talks like it's not the formation, like it's the system. It ever changes throughout the games. It does. I've seen it sat there at Old Trafford. I'm sure you've seen it watching it on TV as well at times. But when you're sat at the stadium and you're watching these players move, there is a lot of adaptability. At times against Arsenal and Burnley, I've seen a 4-4-2 shape creep into play. There is a lot. It works off triggers. It works off actions. It works off players having strict instructions in and out of possession. You can see there's a lot of complexities to Ruben's system. And when these players get it right, we might not even be talking about Ruben Amorim and his system like it's a problem. If Manchester United start scoring goals and we start creating chances like we did against Burnley week in, week out, the way we started against Fulham, the way that we battered Grimsby in the second half, I'm not even clinging on to that. I'm just using the games that have been played. So don't bite my head off on that one. But and obviously dominating Arsenal as well and beating their midfield. There are parts of this system that work. And I've said this before, if you put a decent goalkeeper in there and you've not got them same mistakes, then all of a sudden you might have a draw against Arsenal. You might be unbeaten this season, sat on 5 points. Yeah, it's only 1 point more, but still, with 5 points, you're in the top 8 of the Premier League unbeaten. Without Andre Nardin goal against Grimsby, you're still in the Carabao Cup. All of a sudden, Man United have played 4 games, and because we've got a different goalkeeper in net in them games, Man United are unbeaten in 4, in the draw for the Carabao Cup, and in the top 8 of the Premier League, going into this group of games after the first international break of the season. And no one's really even batting an eyelid. No one's complaining at all. Let's not forget. Like 1-0 against Arsenal in the game we dominated. Yeah, extra time penalty loss to, not extra time, but a penalty loss to Grimsby. We didn't actually lose that game in real time. And again, it was horrendous. It was a disgrace. I'm still going in on that. But I'm looking at it on paper. And all of a sudden, people haven't got as much to moan and bitch about, especially in the media, about Manchester United and where we're at. It could have changed so much. And the system, like Robbie says there, I think formation-wise, it's always going to look like it's completely far out. But I think it constantly changes through the game. It is so complicated, though. And I can see why the players are struggling with it. It's not simple. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of training ground minutes. And this is what Ruben was saying in the summer, don't forget. We are not ready for Champions League football. The players don't know this system well enough, I don't think, for him to feel confident in playing week in, week out in between domestic football with European or Cups. I don't think he's ready for it. I don't think he thinks the team is ready for it. And that's the problem that we've got, I feel. And Bruno falls into that. I think he does, because I think he understands it. I think Bruno's got the football IQ that Ruben wants. But we haven't got a future with Bruno Fernandes. So Ruben's stuck between building for the future and saving his job now. And that's where Bruno Fernandes falls right into the middle of the conversation for me. It is a case of, right, Bruno is only going to take you so far, but then you need to plan past it. I think he's gone in the summer. I think the plan is already there in place for who United wants. I think Ruben knows who he wants. And let's see how well these players adapt to the system throughout the season for them to then bring in them players and drop right in the middle to work even better in this Ruben Amorim role, in this Ruben Amorim formation system and whatever he wants. We should go for Wharton in January. At Crystal Palace, I don't think are selling Wharton in January. I think the only player that might be available that is really the type of quality that we want in January is Carlos Baleba, and that will develop over the next 4 months as well. It will. Let's get some more comments in on this. Adam's playing FIFA again, says Merrin. Look, 2 midfielders that Man United can go out and get. I'm sorry, but they are gettable. Next summer they are. And I think Baleba is gettable in January as well. I don't think it is, because I've only brought in 2 players. And it seems a little bit like far-fetched when you say them players. But if United have a good season and we're in Europe, United should be going for Carlos Baleba and Adam Wharton. And I think that is a real situation. I really do. You need to talk about summer for Bruno. Better back him until then. Can't back the manager and harass the captain like gold. Like him. He will go in the summer, though, I think, says Ryan. Look, he's going to get backed. He's obviously, everybody's right behind the project. Everybody's right behind what he's doing. But there's only so many defeats and poor performances that the fan base can take. I'm not saying the performances have been bad this season. There have been some really good moments so far, but results are what's going to win the day for Ruben Amorim. He knows he needs to win games now. So there has to be a plan B somewhere in there as well. There has to be another option for Ruben and for this team. And I'm hoping that's what they're working on the training ground. There has to be a different way of playing in certain games when it's not going your way. And let's see what comes. Now we've got, and now that the window's shut, now we're into the thick of the season. Starting with this weekend's game against City, I think this is going to be a big test, a very big test. I think United will sign Anderson from Forest like a new carrot type. Forest will fall apart. The owners are idiots as well, says Daz, and that was Nathan with the first chatters there. Andrew says, what worries me is that a lot that played against Grimsby and could not raise their performance against the Division 2 players and out of the cup competition shows a lack of the will to win. Yeah, I mean, that there, United turned up and thought they were just going to win that game. And they were an absolute disgrace to the football club. They were a disgrace to the shirts and every single fan that supports this football club. And nothing's going to take that. No one's going to say anything other than that. They are. And they really let the fan base down that night. That game's never going to come up again this season now. It sounds stupid, doesn't it? Maybe you get something in the FA Cup, but I think that game will be pinned up on the dressing room wall. And I think will be there for everybody to see. Never go back to this place. This is where you was, and it needs to be built up. Until January, we might get a draw against a lesser side again. But this is it now. All we've got is Premier League football. There's zero excuse. You will be found out in the Premier League instantly, as we found out last season, if you're not on it. If you don't believe in what the manager's telling you to do, you're going to get sussed. And that's what happened to Man United last season. Well and truly sussed throughout. Stephanie says, midfield quartet needs to be functional. Central midfielder duo both need to be combative. That is pivotal, so to speak. Yes, it is. It more than is, to be honest. That's what we're talking about now, in fact. It is all about that midfield. The midfield holds this formation together, and Bruno Fernandes in it is a massive concern. I'm just not convinced that Ruben will be able to change the way that Bruno plays, because I think he has to change a bit to play that role. You cannot do what you did in an 8 you cannot do what you did in a 10 in an 8 position. It's not, because you're isolating our weakest links, which is the midfielder next to him that doesn't really have the legs or the quality. Nothing against Casemiro, he has got the quality, but has he got the legs to last it out through this season? Again, which is why I think January is going to come and Manchester United will invest. Yeah, it did feel like it was Romano setting his stall out early so he could say he told us all in September. He will do this. This is how Romano works. Look, credit to him for what he does and everything that he creates, but he does know how to work the media and everybody online. He does. Gems, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. What an absolute ledge. Absolutely love that. I really appreciate that as well, Gems. Thank you so much. If you have been gifted one of them memberships, please make sure that you get in the chat and you thank Gems and get on with it. Please. There's 5 of you that have got it there. If Bruno is such a big player, why does he flop in every final? He does nothing for the international team either. Yeah, he does, mate. Dexter, he really does. Come on. You're being way wide of the mark there. For Portugal, he's massive. He is. So, yeah, in every final he disappears. He didn't disappear in the one against Manchester City, which we won. He also scored in the previous final, which we lost. So I don't know where you're going with that one, Dexter. Sorry, mate. Another weekend of dross football served up, starting with Arsenal in Stoke, a disguise versus Forest. Or maybe we're going to see a Stoke turned into an Ange side that completely opens up, mate, and then gets absolutely pummeled by Arsenal this weekend. Will be interesting, this weekend's games. There's some good ones. By the way, everybody, we are covering on our other channel, Football Talks. If you haven't subscribed to it already, please do. This Saturday, we are jam-packed full of football. We'll have the morning show here on FUTV, and then we're going to go into a brand new preview show for the Manchester derby. Just before then, moving into a Soccer Saturday. Your Soccer Saturday Fixed is coming live, all of the games in one go this Saturday afternoon as well. Then we'll have the evening updates as well on FUTV. So Saturday, jam-packed across both channels again, everybody. So, yeah. We're covering all the 3 o'clock kickoffs this Saturday live with a brand new setup. You're going to love it. Make sure that you're ready to go for that as well, everybody. Looking forward to that one this weekend. Is it make or break for Amorim? Of course it is. It is make or break. This season is make or break. No, like I've bigged up Amorim. I've spoke about all the different things that he could possibly do, every different angle he could take. And look, it doesn't matter. He needs results. He could tweak this system here, that system there, not play Bruno there, play Bruno in 10, put Mainu in. He could do all of this and everything that we're saying to appease the players and let us see a different way let's see a different setup and a way of playing in this system, perhaps with different personnel. It doesn't matter. For him, it has to work this season or he's gone. I don't see, as much as Ineos love him, and he is Sir Jim Ratcliffe's best mate, and they're on the phone constantly every single day and all of that jazz. Still, we're looking here at a manager that's had finished last season worst ever in the club's history. You can't get away with that. It is make or break. Everyone's overlooking Elliot Anderson. Do you mean Elliot Anderson? No one's overlooking him, Paul. He's come onto the scene last season. If you watch Football Talks, I've been talking about Elliot Anderson forever and a day. And now he came through when Danilo got injured and broke his leg in that first game of the season against Bournemouth for Nottingham Forest. Elliot Anderson came through and absolutely smashed it last season and was a star player for Nottingham Forest. Would I like him in my team? I would like to see another consistent season of him. I would. And I think he would be a good player. I really do think he will be a good player. I think he was excellent for England as well in the internationals. So, yeah, I like Anderson. And all Nottingham Forest fans love Anderson as well. He's a very, very good player. And these players just pop up onto the scene every now and then and come out of nowhere. Could we see another one here? Could Manchester United have him on their list? Yeah, I think they could. But I think with players like that now and the way that the Premier League is going, I think Manchester United need to back themselves up. Like, you can only be Man United and carry that Man United name for so long and promise players this project and this process of getting to the glory land again for this football club. Like, you need European football. You need to be competing to start attracting these players, because what you're doing there ultimately right now and where we're at is trying to take a player from one of your rivals, just like we are with Crystal Palace, just like we are with Brighton. We will be with Nottingham Forest if we go for either Anderson, Baleba or Wharton. They're the 3 that sort of stand out right now in the Premier League that United really in that certain midfield role could look at and go for, but they're all at rival clubs. So forget about your Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City. Well, City maybe at the moment with the way that they're going. We'll see after this weekend, of course. But your Arsenal, I think your Arsenal, your Liverpool, Chelsea at the moment, they're just miles ahead of Manchester United. They're not even direct rivals right now in the league. Obviously, historically, yes, but not directly right now. So what we're looking at here, I think, is United now need to have something behind them, I think. So that's why this season for Ruben, again, is so massively important. He needs to be able to go into the transfer window, whichever one it is, in a comfortable position in the league. Look where we are. This is where we're aiming. We're going to be in Europe next season. And then at the end of the season, he needs to have that as well for going into the transfer window. It's 2 seasons without European football for Manchester United. You get other players looking at the football club then and going, are they really on a different pathway? Or is this just a continuation of the decline of the last 10 years of this football club? Because an eighth place position finish and a 15th place finish in the Premier League does not say progress to anybody. So this season has to hit. Otherwise, the Manchester United brand drops even more, financially and in the football sense as well. And players looking in at Manchester United then will not be looking at them the same way now. 1 season out, we'll give them that. They're going to bounce back. If we don't bounce back and get back into Europe in any form, the Man United's brand, the name, everything starts to diminish. It starts to fall off again. You've just made a big, big deal about getting rid of all the crap, about bringing in all of the better players, the better characters, the leaders, the proven players. And then you don't perform and you don't get back into Europe, that's not good enough. Bye-bye Ruben at that point. He won't last. I'm just being brutally honest with that. I think that's what will happen. Cal says in the chats, everyone blames the keeper for the losses this season. I hear no one saying that Arsenal and Fulham, both goals came from Bruno mistakes. Arsenal at the corner, his poor touch, and Fulham not tracking back. Look, no. Exactly the point, Cal, that we're trying to make here. I've said this so many times before. If you're a player at Manchester United and you make a mistake, you know that you're going to be punished for it because the keeper can't do the basics. Yes, we've brought up the system. We've brought up the players. We cannot keep bringing up the same conversation about mistakes that are being made before. You make a mistake, yes, you should have stopped that error. Ahmad should have not given the ball away against Grimsby in the position that he was in. But he's 45 yards out and you're expecting someone to actually stop that ball going in from what happened from that point. At different stages, where was the fullback? Why did no one track back on the right-hand side of Man United's defence in that space where the Grimsby player was and where the forward was? Why did Onana let the ball run right through him? Why did Dello try and do some crazy turn against Fulham and give the ball away before the cross came in? Before Bruno Fernandes lost his man, Bruno was probably stood there, and I'm not defending him here. Again, just like bewildered why someone like Dello would do that in that position. There were so many different errors and mistakes there, but you expect a goalkeeper to do the basics, and we lost because of Baindir not being strong enough in the corner. Corners happen, mistakes happen. If Baindir clears that ball, no one's talking about Bruno Fernandes. Basics of football. Basics. Players take risks on the pitch constantly every single game. That, for me, is something that can be brought up in debate. And yes, you can blame them for the mistakes that they made. But the one definite is the mistakes that these keepers keep on making that cost United massively when they can do better in them situations. And it doesn't take much to do better in them situations either. That's the point I wanted to make. That's where I'm going with it, because I do believe that people will talk about the mistakes that's happened in the build-up to these goals. But them mistakes are going to happen every single game, constantly. But you'd expect a goalkeeper to be able to do the basics behind him to keep the ball out. And that's what our keepers don't do. I'm not defending Bruno. I'm not defending Dalot. I'm not defending Ahmad. But again, we're talking here about Bruno Fernandes picking up a point there from Carl, but he's avoided the Dalot mistake in the Fulham goal and the Ahmad mistake in the Grimsby goal as well. And by the way, Bruno wasn't on the pitch in the first half when we conceded both of the goals to Grimsby. Just making that point as well there as well. We can pick out every single player in the situation, and we can pick out every single player that has made a mistake in every single Man United game, but the worst players in our team are the goalkeepers right now. That's that. Bruno can do a lot of good to make up for some of the mistakes that he makes. The goalkeepers just have to do basics and can't do that. That's where we're at. That's just a point. Like, Cal's right. He's dead right. Like, Bruno's responsibility. He didn't track his runner. I picked that up in the game as well. He did not track I can't remember the bloody player's name now, for God's sake. It's them double barrel names that always get me. You know who I'm talking about, the Arsenal player that went to Fulham who scored the goal against us. Oh, someone will say it in the chat in a minute. You know who I mean anyway. But Dalot giving it away, Ahmad giving it away. You can look at it so many different ways. But the one definite is the keepers can't do the basics. And if they do the basics, that we may get away with 5 or 6 of them 15 errors that the other players on the pitch make through a season. And that happens with a lot of teams as well. That happens with a lot of teams. And you've got to be able to get past it. And I think Ruben's looked at it and thought, I can get past this by bringing better players in and goal scorers into this side so we can score more goals and be more clinical. And then he's seen what Andre Onana did, and that just is unforgivable. And then he's brought another goalkeeper in to try and stop that. I do agree we need the midfield. I'm not arguing against anyone who thinks that Man United's midfield isn't good enough. It isn't good enough. I know it. But again, this is why Ruben has to work, because he brought in 2 10s when he already had 4. And he didn't bring an 8. So, I look, Eric Smith-Rowe is the player. Thank you, everybody. Look, as it says, I can argue with everybody all day and debate all day with everyone regarding Bruno Fernandes, the system and everything like that. But look, the players were there for Man United to go and get. We didn't buy a number 8 this summer. That has to be looked at from Ruben's side of things. You've just bought, and don't get me wrong, I love Cunha. I love Mbumo. I want to see him every single game. The quality is there. And we might have missed out on them if we didn't go for them this summer. And that's a kill-off. It really is. And that's probably why a lot of people have got an issue with Ineos, because we didn't go out and get the midfielder and go, right, okay, if you're going to do this summer, you're going to have to go all in and make sure that you still cover the ground that's needed in that midfield by getting a quality midfielder in. You make it your point to get that player, and you make it impossible for someone to say no. If you go in with a plan like we have done this summer in getting the players we've got in the front line, and that is to the detriment of not bringing in a midfielder, I think you have to do more. And I think that's the argument you've got in so many different cases in Man United's transfer window, from what Ruben said, what Ruben's done, not bringing an 8 in, Ineos in not going all out and saying to Ruben, look, you've got 10s already, don't we need an 8? Look, there's different angles to it completely. By the way, everybody, please pop a like on the video. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button as well. Thank you, everyone. Also, you can see the retro replica kit jerseys there. OK Jerseys, QR code on your screen right now. Link in the description as well. Grab your bargains. If you pop in Adam in the promo code, all lowercase, normal, just put Adam in. You'll get more discount again on really, really great offers already there. Any kit, shirt you want from any era, it's all there on that site. That's where I get mine from. Go and fill your boots, everybody. Please do. Loads of offers there right now. Right, into the other news, the transfer news, which is floating around. Tyrell Malacia doesn't look like he's keen on a move to Eyüpspor. It looks like it might not happen now. Deal was done. United have agreed with Eyüpspor for Tyrell Malacia, but he isn't keen on the move. What is this guy going to do? Is he going to ask to come back into Manchester United? That is the talk that's floating around. He could be reintegrated back into the squad, but he has got a lot of making up to do. And again, just take the deal, mate. Just go and play somewhere else. Go and play where you are going to get the game time. You're not going to get it at United. You're really not. He will be seen now as a bit of a money grabber, Tyrell Malacia. He really will. And do you know what? When I was talking last night and I made a mistake with Andre Onana's contract, it was Malacia's contract that I got mixed up with. He signed a 4-year deal and he's out of contract this summer. And I got him and Onana mixed up. I was wondering last night, and I think it was Glenn who pulled me on it with the super chat when he said Onana is here for another 2 years after this season. He is. United's still going to sell him now, but still, I got mixed up between him and Malacia when talking about these two and possibly moving out on loan in this week. Malacia's contract is up in the summer, next summer. That is, he's got one more year left, so he's going to go on a free. Malacia might go in January, is what we're saying. He's not going to play throughout this next 4 months. There's no way he gets into Man United's first team for the same reasons I've been talking about, really, for other players. And that is that we haven't got enough games. So Malacia has got a decision to make. Does he bite the bullet and go now, or is he going to stick around, train with his first team squad, that's it, and then he gets his move in January? He is not going to make Man United's first team. That is a guarantee. So, yeah, that's where we're at with him. Andre Onana is flying to Turkey today to finalise his deal to Trabzonspor. And that deal will be all completed today before the window shuts in Turkey tomorrow. Private jet booked for him, his agent and his family to fly over. The case is closed, the deal is done, and we are rid of the clown in goal for Manchester United now. It's time to move forward under Senna Lamens or Altay Bayındır. That debate again is an interesting one. And we will see. We will see who ends up playing. And obviously, more and more talk will come in over the next few days around the Manchester derby. Obviously, we will have our usual schedule back again live with Ruben Amorim's press conference and what's happening there. That is all going to come back again from tomorrow, so looking forward to that. Like we said yesterday, in terms of the questions that nobody's had a chance to ask Ruben, they're all coming tomorrow, so we're going to get some interesting responses. I can guarantee you this right now. Ruben Amorim walking into that press conference tomorrow, he's just glad that Andre Onana is done and he doesn't have to talk about him anymore. I think that's something that he'd probably be looking forward to, actually, for tomorrow. And he doesn't have to talk about any of the bomb squad, apart from Malacia, maybe. We'll see what develops through today and tomorrow with Malacia. I'm not saying it's completely done yet. I'm not saying that he's not going to leave. But we are looking here, I feel, at the chance that he might actually not leave. Like, it's painful, that, isn't it? And it's important that it's important that we close the door on all of the bomb squad. It'd just be nice to shut it out and we've all gone. We'll see, won't we? We'll see how that develops. But, yeah, 2 more days to try and get rid of Malacia. Let's get some comments coming in. Diabolical in the chat says, Bruno's a good player, sure, but he yaps like a smoke alarm with a flat battery, constant useless noise, and he's got more mood swings than Manchester's weather. Again, like Diabolical coming in with the poetry there in the way that he talks. Look, I mean, he's got... I don't mind. Like, the petulant side of it is one thing. That's always going to be labelled against him, and it's always going to be used against him. It's just the way Bruno is. Most of the Portuguese players are exactly the same. They're winners. By any means, they want to win the game. So that's what you're always going to get with them. Unfortunately, for Bruno Fernandes, when you're in a losing side, it looks even worse, is all I'll say with that one. Robbie says, with a super chat again, thank you, Robbie. Malacia is toast here. He is, but if you don't want to go, what can we actually do? That's the thing. The news circulating around Anderson, again, on the transfer side of things, is genuine. It is real. Manchester United are eyeing a January move for Elliot Anderson. You'll see that news going around, probably around social media as well today. Didn't want to talk about it much because the window's shut. And I'm looking at players that are actually at United right now, like Bruno, Onana and Malacia. They're probably more important. But look, it is important to remember that we are going to be going for these types of players. And there are options there for us going into the January transfer window as well. Whether or not we can get these deals done, like I said, we're going up against rivals right now in Forest, Palace and Brighton. For Baleba, Anderson and Wharton, respectively. It's one of them. Manchester United planning and looking at Carlos Baleba or Elliot Anderson in January. They are realistic targets for Manchester United, some people are saying. So let's just see. Let's just see how that one develops. Again, we've got 4 months before that can actually come to fruition. So, yeah, I'm not too concerned about that at the moment. I'm more concerned with the plan and where we go and what we do now. And that's Kobbie Mainoo. That's Bruno Fernandes. How we fit Casemiro and Agate into this midfield and make it work. That's what we're up against right now. We can't do anything else until January. So, where I like to talk about us having a plan for January, I honestly need to see what happens through this next 4 months first before I can get... I think United will go for Belabor, by the way, but before I can think about anything else moving forward and United challenging again, I'd need to see a little bit more from the players that we've got right now and this actual system. But look, that pretty much is all of your updates done, everybody, this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I love you all. And again, I'll bring you up to date with everything that happens throughout the day. And if any updates come about, I will be there bringing you any news at all. I am going to go spend the rest of the day, afternoon now a little bit with Alfie, who's turning 18 this week. Cannot believe that. So, yeah, spending a bit of time with him today. Bring back the old transfer system, says Robert. Yeah, when you can spend any time. I know, not happening. Thank you for all the super chats today. Thank you to everybody who has been a part of the show. Everyone who's donated as well in gems with the memberships. Please pop a like on the video, everyone. I'll be back later on, of course, keeping you updated again. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. 140 subscribers away from that magical 100,000 subscriber mark. It's mega.